Hey there, everybody. Hello, everyone. Still driving. I can do that now. I may have mentioned it in a past video, but for the months of April and May, I've been going through driver's education, and I would like to talk about it. So originally, driver's ed was only supposed to be during April, and my class was going to be taken at a park across my school, which is sort of a strange place for a driving class to be taken, but it does make a little bit of sense. I mean, the worst you can do in a public park, driving-wise, is hit a tree, or drive into the river, or hit a pedestrian. As well as me, my buddies Charles and Toby were also going to be taking the class with me, which is very good and also meant that I would have buddies in the class to bring down with me in case one of us drove down into the river. So on the first day of class, we walked over to the park where the classroom portion of the class was supposed to take place, but there was no one there. That made us a bit suspicious, but we figured the teacher was probably late. It was then informed to us 20 minutes later that our class was just straight up canceled, and we were stranded at the park. Eventually, Charles's mom came to pick us up, but when I got home, I had a few questions, like why was it canceled? Where am I supposed to get my driver's education now? If Charles's mom didn't come to pick us up, what would have happened then? None of my questions were answered except where I would get my driver's education now, and it turns out I had two options, which was either an online class on Saturdays and Sundays that went a bit longer, or a class at my local mall in person all week for a few weeks. I wanted the in-person class at the mall, but it turns out that the class filled up very quickly with people like Charles, who didn't even tell Toby and I that he was just going to leave us like that. What the heck, man? Anyway, Toby and I ended up in the online class on Saturdays and Sundays, which I was not really that happy about. Not the part that Toby was there, but the part that it was online, because I've gone through enough online school to know that online class is something that I and many other people have a hard time paying attention to. Which is fine when all you're learning about is something like physics or types of green beans, but when there's a large mechanical piece of metal involved, I get a bit worried. Alright, so where's the break? But luckily for me there, the teachers had a whole constitution full of rules to show us in the online class that was required by the state of Michigan. It was like 1984 with the amount of rules the state of Michigan wanted us to follow. Cameras must be on. No food or drink. No sitting in a car. Which in the end is good, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that getting removed from the class if you're sitting on a couch during the class did make me a bit paranoid. Overall, the online class was fairly good and did teach me a lot, like that you're supposed to make sure that your windshield is clear of snow before you drive and not to hit pedestrians. But part of the course was actually driving with some instructors, which was the part I was a bit iffy on. I mean, I was very excited to learn how to drive, but at the same time, the last time I actually drove something was at Disney World during a go-kart ride, and during that, my car broke down twice. Aw, man. The way the drives worked is that you had an instructor, you, and then another classmate that would observe you, and then you would switch off after an hour. The first drive I had was with this older lady as my instructor, who was pretty nice and fairly good at teaching me the basics of driving. Overall, I didn't put anyone through the windshield, so I would label it as a success. The second drive I had was with this instructor who was also old, and he also had a thick accent, so it was sort of hard to figure out what he was saying. He seemed to also know these cars both inside and out, because in the middle of my classmate's lesson, while I was observing, he sort of just pulled out a bag of Italian cookies. You want one? Where are we? But that drive went well too. The next few drives I had were pretty uneventful. I went downtown on my third drive with the Italian cookie guy and made a wrong turn because my barber is downtown and I guess I was too used to going down there for haircuts. I sideswiped the curb on my first drive, but everything was okay on that one. And on my highway drive I didn't hit a deer, so I would consider it a success. After I completed my lessons, I took my test and passed. And at the time of writing this, I'm still waiting to get my permit. And then I can join the long line of drivers in my family. Which may not be a good thing, because half of my family drives slower than a sloth on NyQuil, and my grandpa once hit the only car in a parking lot when he was learning to drive. But at the same time, once I get my permit, I also have freedom galore. Clear off the roads in Michigan, because now I can drive anywhere I want. Canada, Minnesota, Maine, Svalbard, anywhere I please. Now granted, someone over 18 has to be in the car with me, but I'm pretty sure I can figure something out. This isn't the library. Yes, it is. Anyway, thanks for watching.